Welcome to the Ben Buzz. I'm Benny King, and you're listening to Hawkeye State of Mind. Now, it's a very unfortunate outing for the Hawkeyes. Now, we didn't get blown out. It wasn't that type of situation, but losing this type of game really hurts, and the reality that we haven't won a ranked game, we haven't beat a ranked team since 2021, and we're like 0-11 over the past matchups. It's been not great, and it's our third loss of the season in heartbreaking fashion. Very close games, and this one, it was just so preventable too. Now, I'm not going to pretend like there weren't things that kept us in the game, like some certain referee calls that I know some people are disputing, saying they favored us, which may be true. We had an interception when Oregon was in field goal range, things like that. You could definitely make the argument that went in our favor, but it's just looking at this final score and knowing how close we really were is honestly so unfortunate. And the things that we were able to do, like, I am proud of this team and the way they were able to fight, but just the way it all happened and the way, I was freaking out during our final drive. I'll get to what happened, but we were able to go down and take the lead, and then we end up getting a 2-point. They end up wiping it off, saying that he slid out, which maybe he did, but, I don't know. But then Oregon ends up getting that field goal and ends up winning. So the number 7 Oregon Ducks, they are number 7 now. They won 18-16. They came into our house in Kinnick in a rainy game, and things like the elements were definitely in our favor, and you could definitely see that in the game that was played. It was a lot of running. Now, we ended up passing the ball better than them, surprisingly. Mark Gronowski went 10 for 18. He had 138 yards and a touchdown. Dante Moore went 13 for 21. He had 112 yards, and he also had that interception when they were kind of in field goal range. So that was a huge play by our defense. Our defense played pretty good throughout. They kind of sold on the final drive, but they only scored 18 all game. Now, we did allow more rush yards than any other team. No one's ran on us like that. They had 4 guys that did pretty good. Noah Whittingham, he's the 100-yard rusher. He had 17 carries, 118 yards. Jordan Davidson, he had 8 carries for 52 yards. He was the one of the ones we're really keeping an eye on because he had a great day a few weeks ago against Wisconsin. Then Dante Moore took off 4 times for 46 yards, and that's factoring sacks, by the way, so not bad. And then De'Aaron Hill, he had 7 carries, 45 yards, and he is the one who had the touchdown. Now, here's the thing. It felt like coming off of bye weeks, and I had said it incorrectly in my preview where I had said, both teams off a bye week, a lot of chances to get healthy, a lot of opportunities to get back to full strength, but it was the opposite for Oregon, where they ended up losing more players. They were out at least 3 guys. They were struggling. They ended up losing an offensive lineman during the game. They had one out before. The tight end they had out. A wide receiver was out. They were struggling with injuries, no doubt, and maybe you can say that's evident in the game that was being played. I know Oregon barely won this game, but maybe if you say if they have those guys, maybe it's not as close. But honestly, just the reality that Iowa hasn't beat a ranked team in a while. We beat Penn State in 2021. That was the last time we did it. And it just sucks because now we're 6-3, and it really does feel like not a wash season. We're going to go to the Outback Bowl or the Music City Bowl or whatever the case is, but this was really our chance to really do something with our season and really break in to that upper echelon of college football. This was our big ticket chance. And I know we have other losable games on the schedule, but this was our CFP hopes on the line. And I was really proud of the way our offense was able to step up in certain situations. Now, throughout the game wasn't great, but honestly, the trick play, we had a huge trick play. Gronowski was able to connect it deep. They really faked out Oregon's defense. And then Moulton had another great day, by the way, 23 carries, 87 yards. And Gronowski, he ran pretty well. 12 carries, 25 yards, which, if you don't know, once again, factors in sacks. The rushing touchdown he had was huge on 4th down. Some of our play calls, once we got to the end goals, were kind of frustrating, but we ended up finding a way to punch it in. And there was a QB spy, but he ended up getting caught on his own guy, and Gronowski's able to get in there. That was a huge play. But if you were watching that game, you're like, Iowa barely got Oregon to stop. They were I thought they were going to get a field goal on this drive, but we ended up pushing them back far enough that they punted it deep. So they pinned us deep. You're thinking, hey, we pinned Iowa deep, the Iowa Hawkeyes that are notorious for inept offenses. You think if we pin them deep, probably game. And you know what? Watching the game, I was thinking the similar thing. I was like, man, this is really going to be tough. Can this team Can they go 90, 93, 97 yards? It was one of the two. Like, can they go? Can they have that type of drive? I was really worried about it, and it felt early on in the drive that we weren't going to be able to do it, but there was a huge completion where Gronowski was able to look off the safety. He was able to get just enough separation and just enough high point on the ball to fit it into the gap, and the guy almost could have gone all the way, but he ended up bumping into a guy, but I didn't care. I mean, there was like a 40-yard play. Are you kidding me? My Iowa Hawkeyes were able to do that, and like throughout that drive, there was a lot of throwing to move the ball down the field. It really was another situation with like the Minnesota and Wisconsin game where I'm like, what team am I watching? And it was really awesome to see our team be able to do that. Now, I know they ended up not getting the 2-point conversion. That was the real bummer, but Gronowski did get in, and we did take the lead. It's like 16-15, and then it was such an awkward certain events because like it got tipped, but somehow it lands to Kamari Moulton in the corner of the end zone. I don't know how this happened. Kind of felt like the Broncos' majestic comeback against the Giants. I'm also a Broncos fan, by the way, where it got tipped into the back corner, and I believe Troy Franklin ended up coming up with it. And then the Giants got a tip one right after that, and that was a weird game. Kind of similar to that, where it almost fell into Moulton's hands in the back, and I don't know if he had to jump for it, but like once you jump and then with the rain, like they called it good on the field. This is why I was a little confused because they called it good on the field. Somehow it lands it to him in the corner of the end zone and he ends up getting down and they call it good on the field. And then when they're showing all the replays, they're like, oh, it's skidded. Oh, his heel's out. But if you look at the replay, like it's very foggy. The camera is really cloudy. You can't really see too much going on with his feet. And I'm like, you said the call on the field was that the 2-point was good. I don't know. I think you need substantial evidence, especially when your cameras are really foggy and aren't reliable. And you're saying he skidded out. It looked like he landed in, but I guess it was all heel. I don't know. But I was really confused. And maybe I'm just more upset because it's kind of why we lost. But at the end of the day, I was confused because I felt like, and it's probably my team's bias, I get that, but it felt like you need more substantial evidence to overturn that, especially when your cameras are really unreliable, and they called it good on the field. Maybe that's just my take on it, and maybe it's just because we lost by 2, but I was frustrated by that. And there were certain other miscues that we made, but by the way, like, Drew Stevens had a good day. Like, that kick that he made was so clutch, and it was a deep one, too. And I was glad that we set up the hashes for him. That's what I was really happy about. We had talked about the Indiana game where, like, we didn't set up the hashes. I'm like, he's best when he can kick it straight because, I mean, the hashes in college football are so much worse than the NFL. They're a lot more just crazy with that because they really make it go out wide, which is wild. But honestly, it comes down to our start. We usually have these slow starts, but then we kind of make it close for a quarter, and then it kind of comes down to the fourth quarter. It's like, can we make the right plays? And we did. Offensively, we did. But what happened early on was really unfortunate to the outcome of this game. Because if you didn't watch, basically, we ended up getting the ball first, which they had said something in the broadcast. I didn't realize. I hadn't put it together, but I guess we've received the opening kickoff every single game. That's wild. And we end up not doing anything with it, like we do. So we punt, that's what we do. And it's kind of an awkward snap. It goes like way over his head, but he's able to jump up and snag it out of the air, right? And then he has to make kind of an awkward punt to get around the guy in his face. The fact that he got it off was incredible. I was like, man, I guess we should be lucky that he even got it off, right? And then Oregon doesn't move an inch. Oregon doesn't move. They go all the way to 4th and 10, and they punt it back to us. I'm like, man, the fact that we had that shank punt, and like it could have been way worse, and this is what we were left with, like that could have been way worse. Then we have to punt again, as we do. This is what we do. We punt, especially against a great team. That's just how it happens, right? But then this one is even further over his head. It's not catchable. He can't get to this one. I don't understand. Once you have that type of miscue on the field, how are you not constantly practicing that on the sidelines? I know the ball must have been wet. I don't know if it skidded. What was going on? Where it's just like you have that one miscue, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, they're gonna look at that tape on the sideline. They're gonna be like, oh man, did that almost go over your head? And they're gonna practice and recuperate on the sidelines. Be like, we can't let that happen again. You're supposed to learn from those type of mistakes. You can't make a worse one doing the same exact thing, and you do it worse. I don't know how we did that, and it ends up going way over his head, as I said. So very much of a bummer there. But honestly, like our punter, Dakin, Rise Dakin, it might be how you say it, number 9, he made such a heads-up play. Honestly, he was the best player in the first quarter, just about, for us. Because, I mean, not only does the first one, like, it should have gone over his head, but he ends up snagging it and then making an awkward punt, but still gets it to about midfield, and then Oregon doesn't move. So it's like, man, huge plays by Dakin there. But then the one shoots so far above his head, there's nothing he can do about it. So not only does he bat it into the end zone, but then a bunch of Oregon players are all around him. They're surrounding him. They're trying to recover that one for a touchdown, and he just punts it out the back. Oh, my goodness, that was incredible. And I know that's a safety, that's a bummer, but it's like that would have been a touchdown. It's like he really made the best of some of those situations early, and, you know, he really did great in those situations because it's like we can't do back-to-back. Are you serious? Like, I can't believe we managed to do that back-to-back, where it's just like you make that type of mistake, you'd think you'd recuperate, you'd think you'd find a way to fix it. I don't know. I'm kind of just venting about this game because I'm really just upset about it, because this really was our big opportunity to really become one of the big boys and make the top 15 or, you know, make a possible CFP run. Because if we were to win this game and then this week we go on the road to USC, we'll see how that goes. But honestly, I think we win our last 2 games. So if we were able to get through this 2-game stretch, I think we would have had a great chance to make a playoff berth, and that can't happen this year. This season, in terms of playoffs, is kind of a wash, and then Gronowski's eligibility is up. But it really comes down to those early botched snaps. I mean, I don't know how you do it the first time and then somehow get away with it. I don't know how you're not practicing, how you make the same mistake twice. But Dakin, I mean, it was a heads-up play kicking it out the back, because imagine Oregon gets a touchdown off of that. And then Oregon ended up getting a touchdown later. And then that's the thing, is like we had that huge trick play and gets us down inside the 5. Now, it probably could have been a touchdown if Gronowski hadn't like underthrown it a bit, but I don't even care about that. He was so open it didn't matter, and just the fact that we had that huge completion, I mean, they were so faked out by it that it didn't matter. But to have a receiving touchdown right after that to Von Nami, which is just like, he had 2 catches, 43 yards, and then Gill had 2 catches, 43 yards. It's like, we got some players, and all of a sudden we were kind of passing the ball. And like I said, like, we passed it better than Oregon did, actually. Now, Oregon ended up rushing it a lot better than us. That was the big takeaway. They obviously outgained us. I mean, their rushing yards, it was crazy. And, I mean, you just look at the total yards, you know. I mean, they outgained us easily, 373 to 239, but then when you look at rushing yards, it's not close. 269 to 101, and they're factoring Gronowski, you know, because I don't know why they factor sacks, by the way. It's kind of awkward that they do that, but it's just like, in passing yards, I think that's the most surprising thing about this, is that we passed it better than the guy who was a 5-star, who transferred to Oregon. He was supposed to be the big guy. He was sitting behind Gabriel for a year. Now, I do think he's good, and I do think the elements are a struggle bus for him. And I mean, we saw what just happened in Wisconsin. We saw what happened at Penn State. It's kind of struggling to get it done in the rain, but eventually he makes clutch plays. I mean, in Penn State, clutch overtime plays. He was incredible in that game. And then in this one, it was no different. They needed a field goal. They didn't have to go that far to do it. And he ended up having truly a really beautiful pass, and it was perfect. And I wish our guy got his head around, because I don't know if he has a chance to pick that or make a play on the ball or something, but he never gets his head around to try to make a play on the ball. Now, I'm not discrediting how perfect of a throw and catch it was for Moore. Like, obviously it was, but it's just like, would have liked to at least we had a chance to see if he could see the ball coming, to see if he could either knock it down or maybe pick it off. Probably not, though. But at the end of the day, I would have just liked to get his head around, because, I mean, it was a perfect throw, though. But anyways, I mean, this is just really unfortunate. Now, when we're down 10-16, by the way, we were down 7-16. I mean, we were losing for a lot of this game. Then Drew Stevens hit that clutch 58-yard field goal. Absolutely insane kick that he was able to make that. That was incredible. And we ended up really needing it, because then we ended up having to go all the way, like, dang near the full length of the field. And we did it. That's what's so sad about this. It's just like, you'd think, oh, like, they weren't able to do it. Oh, that's Iowa. Oh, they weren't able to get down the field. Oh, yeah. Once, you know, it gets into those tight situations, if their offense needs to do something, good luck. But we did it. We went the full length of the field. We went all the way down with some incredible plays. Third down, there was a huge 40-yard play. Gronowski was making plays. He ends up running it. We go all the way, and we actually do it. We score. We take the lead. Like, we usually lose before that. We're like, oh, turnover on downs. Oh, we punt for some reason, even though we needed to go for it. Just stuff like that. It's just like, man, like, I couldn't believe that we had that in us and that we were able to do that. And so it just hurts because I was on a roller coaster. Like, that whole drive, it felt like my heart was going to explode. I was shaking the whole time. I was freaking out. I was trying to watch this at work, by the way, so it was a little complicated. I was able to get on my 30. Was really not happy I had to work. But anyways, like, it was complicated. But I was on my 30 just in my car just freaking out. And, like, I was like, I couldn't hardly breathe. Like, that's how, like, crazy that last drive, I was going through it, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, I couldn't believe, like, how I felt when we ended up scoring that. And just to have it immediately strip where, like, oh, they wipe away the 2, and then, oh, they get the 3 right away, like, I kind of felt like cheated inside, and I know it's not like we got cheated on the field. That's not what I mean, and I know, like, some people online were saying that the refs favored Iowa, which maybe that was true. I don't know what you say about that. And injuries definitely favored Oregon as well. But, I mean, what is Oregon doing at practice, man? I mean, that's just a lack of discipline. I don't understand that. I mean, you got a bye week to prepare for this game, and you're already going cross-country. You're already in tough elements. I don't know how that happened. Now, Cooper DeJean did end up getting injured a few years ago in practice, so maybe I shouldn't be talking. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that happened. But definitely probably would have been a tougher matchup if they were in it. But it's just, man, like, the fact that we were able to do that, and the fact that, like, the way that I felt once we got it, and then when it tipped, and then Moulton somehow catches, I'm like, are we really going to do this? Are we really finally going to beat a ranked team? Are we finally going to get it done? It's been so long. It's been years, and it's like we're not like a bottom feeder. Like, if we were like a Purdue, no offense, but like if we were like a Purdue or like an Oregon State, I mean, they're having a rough year. But you know what I mean? Like, if we were just constantly losing, if we were Wisconsin this year, But it's just like we're not. Like, we're supposed to be better. We were ranked top 20. We're consistently ranked in the AP, not this year, actually, but in the CFP and then usually in the AP. But it's just like, it feels like we constantly get wins, and we're not terrible. Like we dominated Minnesota. We dog-walked Wisconsin. We found a way to beat Penn State, which looks a lot better with how Indiana played them. And we also played Indiana really well. So I don't know, like, it just really hurts to lose this type of game, and we've lost this type of game 3 times this year. We've been in this type of situation, and maybe you say the Penn State one as well, but strictly when we're playing ranked teams, we've been in this type of situation, and we legitimately could have won all 3 of them, and we somehow found a way to lose every single one, and it really hurts as a fan. We went on the road in Ames at Iowa State and lost. That's a tough game, but it's like, it was 13-all. Gronowski was coming off an injury that he sustained in Albany. Now, he even got injured twice in that game. I don't know why he came back in. He was taking unnecessary hits, but he still played against Iowa State and still got a rushing touchdown. He's had a rushing touchdown in every game, I believe. But, like, we go on the road. And then on Iowa State's last drive where they end up getting that field goal, it got tipped. Like, we tipped it. Usually the defense wins those tip drills. It just ends up in the hands of an Iowa State tight end, and then he catches it, and then they keep going. Also, we lost Ostrenga in that game. We had some injury concerns. By the way, Moulton, like against Albany, Iowa State, and UMass, Moulton was out. We didn't have him. He's our top running back now, and he has been since the Rutgers game. He's been incredible. He was out for that game. You think maybe if he's playing. And also, the fact that we play Iowa State so early, it's just like, not only is it a rivalry game, but it's on the road. And then we play them so early where we're still struggling to find our identity, and Mark was struggling to get healthy, and not just get healthy, but get acclimated with the team. It was too early. When we play Iowa State in week 2, it's always awkward, and we're not ready for it. And it just sucks to lose that one. And they were ranked at the time. They're no longer anymore. Honestly, I think we would beat them now. That's what hurts so much about that. And then we host Indiana. Now, they weren't ranked number 2 then. They were ranked a lot lower. And we really gave them a run for their money, really. But if you watch that game, we probably should have won. Gronowski had an early, bad interception, and they end up scoring a touchdown really early on that. But then Iowa was able to control it and actually was up, leading, towards the end of the half. But then we let Indiana get, a couple of plays, and then all of a sudden they kick a field goal in, the span of 10 seconds. What are we doing? How did we let that happen? And then Gronowski ends up getting injured for the fourth quarter, and then our backup goes in. And not only do not only do we continue to make our backup throw it in that situation where one of them is almost picked off, the next one is picked off, but then we get another chance because Lutmer makes an incredible interception that really should have sealed the game, and it hurts me reliving that, but it's just like that should have decided the game. We had a huge interception against Indiana, and we found a way to get 5 yards on first down. It was huge, 2nd and 5, and then 3rd and 5, and then 4th and 5. And then not only did we not get the first down, which sucks, but we also didn't correct the hashes, and then Stevens isn't able to make it, and then Indiana is able to get a touchdown once all of our momentum is crumbled, and the final score will tell you 20-15. It was 13-20. It should have been 16-13 or maybe like 16-16. I'm really upset about that game as well, but it's a very similar situation where you're like, Gronowski had injury concerns. It was a struggle bus against a tough Indiana team, and there were certain plays down the stretch and at the end of the first half that really could have made a difference. And then this one is no different. Like, it's just miscues and mistakes that are just determining these few points. I mean, the long snapper just blasting it over our punter's head, not once, which the punter actually recovered from it, not once, but twice, where it's way too far up, and his only option is to take the safety. I mean, there's nothing else you can do in that situation. I appreciate him for doing that, but it's like, you look at the final score, 2 points. It was 2 points that we lost by. And then also there's a 2-point conversion that was crazy. It got batted in the air and somehow landed in the arms of one of our players, but then they ended up saying it was good on the field, but ended up waving it off after some review that maybe they had a better camera angle that I didn't see, but their cameras looked foggy and you couldn't really tell what was going on or where his feet were at. But maybe that one was correct, and maybe this one is the least problematic of the three, but it's just to continue to have these heartbreaking losses over and over, and it feels like that's just what it's been the past couple of years. It's like when we get in these big games, we just can't win. We just can't do it, and it really does hurt being a fan. I don't really know what to say. Now, I really do love this team. You look through what we did, blew out Albany, blew out UMass, blew out Wisconsin, blew out Minnesota, won tough against Penn State, which we dogged on it at the time, but Penn State isn't the worst. They really just gave Indiana all they could handle, so you can't hate on us too much there. And then the road victory at Rutgers, and I know Rutgers isn't that great now, but the way we were able to come alive in the fourth with those 17 points and the pick, where it's just like, man, all of a sudden we were really balling in that one, and then it just feels like every time we get in these tough situations, it's a tough game. We got all three of them to play our style of ball. I guess maybe I shouldn't be upset. Maybe I shouldn't be, because we didn't get blown out in any of them. But it's just back to back. It's just I can't keep taking these heartbreaking losses. And it just feels like each one hurts more than the last as they keep building up and weighing on each other. And especially as we got to that 6-2 spot where it's just like if we could legitimately win out, we'd have a really good case to actually make a playoff. I'd like to see us make a playoff in my lifetime. I would be surprised if we didn't. I remember a time when we were close. We were in I believe it was the Big Ten championship. We ended up losing barely to Michigan State. And I know Michigan State went to the playoffs and got throttled by Alabama, but I would just like to be there. I would just like to be in the dance. And I know it would be humiliating and embarrassing to get blown out like that, but I'm just like, we can never make it out of the Big Ten. We can never make it out of the midness. We can never make it out of the middle of the Big Ten. Been waiting to break into that top end for years. And we've had quarterback trouble, but we go in Gronowski. We have a great defense. And also during the game, Nwankpa goes out. But, Nwankpa's incredible. Lutmer is great. There's a lot of great players on this defense. And by the way, Deshaun Lee, that was an incredible pick as well. And then Entringer's good. There's just tons of great players. Graves has been great. Herkett, Tellender. You can't even begin. We always have a great defense, but then we were starting to kind of figure things out on offense with Gronowski, the transfer, and Moulton. And Weegan has been a great gadget guy on special teams on offense. And then Patterson and Williams had disappointing performances, but they've been good throughout the year, where it's just like, I really wanted to break into that top category. And I know it was far-fetched, and I know we needed a lot of things to go our way. We were home, the elements, they had injuries. I get all that, and that is true. And maybe you say even the refs were against them, but it's just like, we get all these teams to play our style of ball. And it almost hurts more than getting blown out for some reason. I don't know, because it's just heartbreaking, and it feels like each one is worse than the last. So I don't know. I'm honestly just kind of down in the dumps now. I love this team, and we are 6-3 now. Like, that's not bad. We're already bowl eligible. We were already bowling before the month of November even started, so that's pretty cool. But it's just like we consistently drop these ranked games, and at home too. Like, we had Indiana and Oregon at home, and I know those are top 10 teams, so you can't be too mad at it. But it's just like when is it gonna happen for us? You know. You see Indiana, all of a sudden they're in a crazy turnaround. They've been losing their entire history of their program. All of a sudden they turn around and they're beating all these ranked teams. It's just like, when are we going to beat a ranked team, you know? We've been in the middle of the pack of the Big Ten forever, it feels like. We're doomed to go between 6 to 10 wins, something around there. You beat the bad teams, you lose to the good teams. It's like, I don't know. I would like to see a win against one of these good teams. I guess that's what I'm saying here. And we're going on the road at number 17 USC this weekend, so we'll see what ends up happening with that, and I'll preview that game later in the week. But just a very unfortunate loss for the Hawkeyes as it continues to stack up against ranked teams, and we just really struggle in these types of games. But we do get them to play our style of ball, but it's just so unfortunate and heartbreaking to continue to lose games like this and just continue to lose back to back to back in these really important games. And I hope it ends up changing in the future, but I mean, we just keep dropping these games, and we'll see if that trend continues. We have another chance this season when we play number 17 USC, and I'd like to think that they're not near as good as Oregon and Indiana, but we got them at home. And then we played Iowa State on the road, but now Iowa State doesn't even look good. So it's just like, I don't know. But we're going to go on the road at number 17 USC, and I'll preview that one, as I said, later in the week. So we're going to try to flip the narrative and really try to flip our season and just flip the perception of Iowa, because it's like, oh, you beat, it's kind of like a top-end Penn State, but we're like in the middle where it's like you beat the bad teams, and then you lose the ones that matter, and I don't like that. It hurts to have that type of situation. Now, I'm sure it would hurt more as a Wisconsin fan or whatever you want to say, because, when you constantly lose, but it just really sucks to lose these type of games, and I hate it, and I'm hoping that that trend doesn't continue, and I'm hoping that we end up getting a win this weekend. We'll see, but at this point, who knows how we'll fare in these ranked matchups, but it's just so unfortunate. It feels like it's just one heartbreak after another with this Iowa team, and I love this team. I love all the players. We've been doing great. The coaching staff, Tim Lester, has improved the offense a lot. Like, we really have improved, but it just feels like it's always the same. We lose important games. It's heartbreaking. So we'll try to improve that this weekend against USC, and I'll see what I end up talking about in my preview. But honestly, it's just really unfortunate. It just continues to stack up as we just find ways to lose big games. And it's just really unfortunate and heartbreaking that we keep losing games of this importance in this fashion. This is the Ben Buzz. I'm Benny King, and you're listening to Hawkeye State of Mind. Thanks for tuning in.